Now, the third part in this series on cesarean section, we have to do with indication that has to do with both mother and baby and indications arising from placenta. Now, the indication affecting both mother and baby, what I regard as fetal maternal, has to do with the size of the baby and the size of the passageway. The passage is the genital tract of the woman through which the baby where the baby will pass through before it is born. Now, there must be a proper match between the size of the baby, especially the size of the presenting part, the leading part of the baby, and the size of the pelvis of the woman. Now, when there's a mismatch, that one is bigger than the other, whether absolutely by virtue of the size of the baby or relatively by virtue of how the baby is presenting itself while passing through the part, there will be a problem. And now this leads to one of the common reasons for cesarean section generally that has to do with both the baby and the mother. We call it cephalopelvic disproportion. I will break it down in a later language. Cephal has to do with the head of the baby, pelvic the pelvis of the mother. Disproportion, that is asymmetry. They are not agreeing, they are not in tandem, they are not in the same proportion. Now, if the baby is bigger than the pelvis of the mother, and as labor progresses, the baby will not be able to safely navigate the passageway and there will be complications. Now, if this is detected early, we call it cephalopelvic disproportion. But there is a disproportion between the head, the presenting part of which is the head, and the pelvis of the woman. And in a good center, if the woman is laboring in a good center, cesarean section will be urgently done. And it's a common reason. It's a very common reason why cesarean section is done. We abbreviate it to CPD, cephalopelvic disproportion. The head of the baby ceva is disproportionate to the pelvis of the mother. Now, if this condition is not picked early in the hospital, or maybe by virtue of the woman laboring in places where there are not expert hands, it will graduate to become what we call obstructed labor. And this is a complicated labor case. That the woman has been laboring over time, over hours, nothing is being done, it becomes obstructed. And this increases complication to the baby and the mother that can result in unwanted consequences. So it's also an indication for cesarean section. But a woman in a good center will not be allowed to progress to obstructed labor, will have been diagnosed at the level of cephalopelvic disproportion and will have been taken for cesarean section before it becomes obstructed labor. So these two conditions, cephalopelvic disproportion, CPD, because of mismatch in the size of the baby and the pelvis of the mother, and obstructed labor when CPD is neglected, and common fetal maternal reasons for cesarean sections. Now, regarding to placental reasons for cesarean section, there is something we call antepartum hemorrhage, that bleeding during pregnancy. The common reasons for bleeding during pregnancy, which regard to antepartum hemorrhage, usually arise from the placenta. Other reasons that are not from placenta are not so common. The leading of the two common is what we call placenta previa. They refer to a placenta that is low lying, that is ahead of the head of the baby, or the part of the baby that is leading the way. In this instance, that means the placenta is occupying where the baby should normally pass through, and usually causes bleeding, and the bleeding could be severe. So if the woman is term or almost term and she starts bleeding out placenta previa, cesarean section readily rescue the life of the mother and the baby to ensure a good outcome. The second common placental reason for cesarean section, which also put the life of the mother and the baby in risk, is what we call placenta abruption. It simply means placenta separation from its bed. Normally, the placenta should not be separated from where it is attached until the baby is delivered. What we normally call the third stage of labor. That is, after the baby has been born, the last stage is when placenta is delivered. Normally, until the baby is born, placenta should not be separated from the wall of the womb. But in placenta abruption, for so many reasons, the placenta separates even before the woman is in labor in a lot of cases, or even the process of labor. The placenta separates before the baby is born. And that detaches the baby from his blood supply. Now, Usually, when this happens, most baby, if it's a very severe one, will die within minutes. But in some instances, we may discover that the baby is still alive when this has happened. In such an instance, it becomes a super emergency to quickly take the woman to the theater and deliver her through cesarean section to save the life of the baby and stop the bleeding process. So these are the two common placenta reasons why cesarean section are done. And I hope these reasons have helped to shed light on reasons why cesarean section are done. Because it's a common saying in the town that women always claim that they don't know reasons why they are operated. And by the time you interact well with your health caregivers, the reason why cesarean section is done for you will most likely fall into any of these several reasons, indications that I've mentioned in the course of this series. Thank you.